Okay, folks, this is Acid Roots. I'm back with part 2 of Blackthorne. So we kind of were at like a cliffhanger a bit. Now we're gonna come back and get this in motion. So get ready for something stupid that's gonna happen here in a second. But they slipped something in his rations. Yeah, you saw that, right? Yeah. This is kind of. Yeah, so that's kind of dark in the game to slip some rations and something in its rations, but that's why I like this game, and this is so off to the side. I mean, stuff that flew by in the 90s, this is funny. We've got shit to get in motion here, and I'm trying to think of what has happened. So I purchased the game Booger Man, and I had been talking about that on my vlog channel for the past while. And I've got some special stuff planned for when that game starts to make appearances, which I just would have to say is kind of the thing. You know, me just talking about Booger Man and everything else that goes along with it. Just kind of, you know, stuff. I just threw Papa Roach's their breakout album Infest on my MP3 player. I do like that project. It's one with Last Resort on there. I had seen on Spotify that it basically has like over 500 million plays, so it's a decent little song. But when I was younger, I didn't really like most other songs besides that song. But now I do like Between Angels and Insects at least. But I don't know why they couldn't replicate Last Resort. Alright, so we basically get to the password. If I had included this with part 1, this is about where it would have ended. This was the last of the recording I had for that, so I'm not going to be doing it password to password because I want these to be less than 15 minutes. So yeah, so but I lose my weapons, but that's alright because I can get them back, and this happens to be a thing. So but yeah, so if you step on that metal plate, gun will come out, and it's kind of difficult to defeat. But we're now in part 3 of World 1, so we're almost a fourth of the way done with the game. Thing and shit. I actually didn't anticipate this game to be such a quick little jaunt. I mean, this is about gonna take me probably just a little bit longer than Super Return of the Jedi, maybe like 14 or 16 parts, but not much more than that. You know. So we gotta knock this guy out. So the placements for the enemies start getting trickier later, because they'll put you right off a cliff, and then if these guys punch you, you'll fly off and die of fall damage. So it's kind of, I mean, it does start getting dicey later on. But one of those guys earlier was saying that, you know, you can go through a waterfall, so that's what we're going to do. I'm going to talk to this guy first, though. Gives us a potion. Useful. So if you're kind of trying to figure out what's with these guys, I mean, essentially, Sarlac is kind of, Sarlac has basically enslaved these people, and he's just one step away from owning the whole world that Kyle Blackthorne is from. So, you know, obviously there's the light stone and the dark stone, and, he already has the dark stone, so that's kind of the thing. I mean, Kyle Blackthorne holds the key to it. You would think, I mean, if this had more depth, it would probably have it to where they're actually searching for Kyle Blackthorne, but, you know, obviously Earth is not involved beyond that one miniature scene at the beginning, so Still implied that this was in the future just by those hovering cars and stuff. Yeah, so. There's some kind of slick stuff here, obviously, but when I first saw this game, I kind of thought the mine stages, which is what we're in right now, these stages were a little bit of a drag just because of how dark it was. I mean, it's not the most... One thing about this game is it's not the most, like, casual. I feel like most people would probably see these stages and just kind of say, screw it, you know, but... I feel like the tree stages that come after this are a little bit more accessible, but you know, obviously this game is so short. I mean, it's really not intended for much more than a quick jaunt. I mean, I wonder what Blizzard wanted from this back in 1994, you know. Apparently you can't talk to that guy. I'm trying to, but you know. So this, you know, obviously I think people probably mess with this game, but the intention was this kind of, you play it and then you move on after you complete the game. So this is kind of, you know, that's like the main thing. I probably would have liked this game back in the 90s. I think it would have been fun if I could have actually beaten this game back then. I just would have said, that's the thing. I don't know what it is about video games. If you can beat them when you're like a child, it makes it so much easier when you're an adult versus when you start them as an adult. And you know, obviously, if they're over 20 years old, it's just kind of like, yeah. So this is kind of a tricky situation. I basically had to take a hit there. This guy's gonna die. But the purple ones give you a particular thing that you're going to need, so we're going to have to wipe this guy out. A little bit of a standoff battle there, but we're going to get some bombs. So we need them to get past the force fields. As this game starts to go along, it kind of has a lot of foreshadowing that says, hey, this is what you're going to need to do this. So... heavily armored guns can be destroyed. I'm not really gonna initiate them, though. I don't really see the point in that. So. Cheap. So yeah, he rolls if you are crouched when you move, so. Here we go. Yeah, I probably would have bought a Blackthorne too. If you look hard enough, Blizzard actually did like an April Fool's Day joke where they joked around about doing a Blackthorne 2, and they said like a bunch of stuff like, you know, this time it's on Earth or something like that, and you know, obviously there was going to be like branching storylines and a bunch of stuff, so it would have been slick if they wouldn't have just been joking about that. That was kind of the point. It was just too good to be true. Like, you know, a game series that I'm a fan of is the F-Zero series, and I was on Instagram, and some person for April Fool's Day, they put that a new F-Zero was coming out, and I actually fell for that, and I was just like, damn it. You know, it was a stupid thing, but it's the fact that, I mean, it had like the box art. It had the box art of a Nintendo Switch game, and they put it just all to where it looked like a Nintendo Switch game, and it was just like shit, you know. But obviously, I mean, I can't figure out too much as to what Nintendo's reasoning for not messing with F-Zero was. I mean, it's really been since 2003 or 2004, and I don't know why they've been so obstinate about doing it. I mean, it's really not that difficult. All you have to do is just make like 15 new stages and you'd be set. So, but the same thing with Blackthorne. I mean, I think enough people would probably support this despite the fact that this was the only game in the series. I mean, you know, there's an article on Wikipedia that just says that, you know, Kyle Blackthorne, after he completed the game, he just became a king, and he ruled fairly and justly for many years. But you know, obviously that is kind of like what happened with CJ from Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. I mean, I don't know why they never revisited his world. I mean, Tommy Vercetti, all those characters, they just, after they complete the game, they don't bother them again. Even Claude, I mean, he just lived happily ever after in the context of a mature rated game, of course. Probably just became like someone like you know, probably just like some ruler or politician in New York. I mean, you gotta understand that Liberty City is basically based off of New York, so this is kinda, he probably just became a rich white man who, you know, ruled with an iron fist. So, but most of the Grand Theft Auto heroes didn't really use drugs, so maybe they just became kind of good guys almost. But yeah, that's if you're wondering as you watch this game if this is like the first time that you've watched this or so, or if you haven't seen the ending. I mean, Kyle Blackthorne becomes a king, but that's all that's really said about him. So this is his one-shot game and shit. So he doesn't. I mean, really, his personality is so stark. I think you could almost tell that to begin with, though. So, alright, so we're about to advance, and you know, once again, we're almost a fourth of the way done with this game. So I might just beat this in like 12 parts or something at the rate I'm going. I mean, really, the mine stages are, you know, a cakewalk. It's the whole damn thing there. This is just what the doctor ordered for me. This is actually fun. I mean, I like this game better than Donkey Kong Country. I mean, when I was playing that last month, that was actually pissing me off. That just happens to be like the main thing is yeah. Alright, so you don't really have to fight this guy with the whip. I guess I was just doing it for completion's sake, but he just gives you a bomb, so there's really no point to it. But that's alright. If only I could escape. Yeah, these Androthi are very disdained. When I watched, like, there was someone named Lord Vega who did an LP of this, and I'm actually a fan of that project. I watched that a handful of times last year, but you know, these characters are very forlorn and such. I mean, it implicates that they just are not. It's kind of relatable in some sense, just with what's going on with like coronavirus and stuff. You could imagine if you talked to someone at Walmart or Target or Kmart or something, and they were like, you know, curse President Trump, you know, or some shit like that, or, you know, if only we could get a vaccine, you know, to something like that. But so yeah, I mean, stay tuned, subscribe for more fun. Thanks for watching, and have a good night.